Good evening. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. I am the West African correspondent, Edward Ama. Welcome to the latest development on the continent, a continent that we respected too much, we have high esteem of, and unfortunately, development taking place into the Horn of Africa, as I discussed yesterday on the program, is definitely not gingering down well. Today we have seen and are observing various type of development on the Sudan. It's only a single news headline. I just want to bring you latest development on the breaking news into Sudan. And we all know Sudan in 2019, or even before 2019, Sudan was actually struggling from a kind of situation where we have a military dictator on power. Today I'm actually coming from Kailaun in the eastern part of Sierra Leone, not in my normal place. But just because this development is going on the continent, Focus on Liberia, I want to use this particular platform to inform citizens or our numerous viewers across the group to see what is actually happening into the Sudan. In Sudan, I mean Khartoum in northern Sudan. I'm not talking about southern Sudan, in northern Sudan, where we used to have Omar al-Bashir as a military dictator, where we saw in 2019 a group of demonstrators led by die-hard women, patriotic citizens who seriously protested against the regime of Omar al-Bashir. He was definitely dethroned, and the military is definitely on power. Throughout, we have seen a lot of other situations taking place. But today, of latest, there is a power struggle between the powerful militaries on who to actually lead the country. As I said initially, Sudan is one of the few countries on the planet. Sudan is similar to that of Myanmar or Burma, where you have the military have total power over the control of the governance system into the country. A power struggle between Sudanese army and a notorious paramilitary force has rocked the capital Khartoum, with at least 3 civilians confirmed dead. Resident dog, I'm reading from the news, resident dog gunfire as rival forces battle over the presidential palace, state TV and army headquarters reported. The clashes erupted after tensions over a proposed transition to civilian rule. The army says jets are hitting bases of its opponent, the Rapid Support Forces, that is the RSF. Both sides say they control the airport and other key sites. Battles were also reported elsewhere in the country, including sites in the Darfur region. The fighting is between the army unit loyal to the de facto leader, that is General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and his deputy Mohamed Hamdou Dagalo. General Dagalo said his troops would keep on fighting until the army bases were completely captured. In response, Sudanese armed forces rule out any possibility of negotiation or dialogue until the dissolution of the paramilitary and General Burhan ordered the troops' disbandment. People were fleeing, running away and taking over as black smoke rose over the Khartoum and the unrest continued. Reuters journalists said there were armed vehicles in the street, while videos show a civilian plane ablaze at Khartoum airport. Saudi Airlines said one of 8 air bases came under fire. Sudan and Egypt air have suspended. Saudi Arabia and Egypt flights have been suspended, and negotiations with Chad has also ended. Chad has also resulted into closing its flight with the Sudan. Shooting is still ongoing and people are staying indoors. So we are seeing there is too much panic and fear, and eyewitness to the BBC by residents have not been expecting the clashes. She said anyone who had been caught in the transit will definitely find herself wanting. So what we are seeing here, in short here, Since the fall of Omar al-Bashir, Sudan have never been a stable country, and we're having factions into the military that almost always want to control the power of the country. And Omar al-Bashir is definitely in prison. He has his own supporters around who do not even want the country to be transited into a civilian government, because he knows exactly that should a civilian government take over the country, the entire military are going to betray, and he and others will definitely be prosecuted, and they may end up to lose their wealth that they accumulated all over this year. And we have some subsection of the country who actually, during the regime of Omar al-Bashir, they never enjoy anything. So they are the one pushing, they are the paramilitary, they are the one pushing for a transition to maybe a civilian government where they may have a standardized and well-structured army, and they will have the civilian will have the opportunity to ensure that they rule the country on a free and fair basis. Maybe a Truth and Reconciliation Commission can be set up, and prosecution of those who are found wanting will definitely take place. But the army, having known that things like that may lead them to abject poverty, it may lead them to incarceration or incarceration into prison, and it may create other havoc into the country. So this is why you are seeing there is a struggle between the military. And since the military, Sudan is facing war, it's facing insurgent, there is total demonstration. The civilians do not even trust those who are definitely in power, and the military do not trust themselves. The maybe UN have to intervene, and AU is seated watching. The condemning people, just saying stop this, we definitely not solve the problem into the Sudan till we have an active maybe UN force or African Union force, that is the AU, to see what can definitely be done. Of course, we have seen a lot of other people who have condemned the current activities into the Sudan. Unfortunately, nothing has actually been helped since the overthrow of Omar al-Bashir. And now we are having a military that are so ambitious, a very ambitious military, which want to take over power at all costs, past subtraction within the military. Nobody want to hear about power a transition to a civilian government. And Hamdok was definitely dethroned. They have Abdul Buhan who came in, but he's definitely Fatah is definitely a pro al-Bashir, and he knows exactly what will take place should things like this continue. So UN ambassador and others are definitely calling up for this power struggle to stop and to ensure that the civilians are being protected. But since 2021, coup upon coup have actually taken place into the Sudan, and based on the current situation, there is no possibility that the civilian will definitely come into power into the Sudan, because the military that are currently on affairs into the Sudan are not interested in making a transition to a civilian rule, because they know exactly that their wealth that they have accumulated over the past 30 or 40 years may definitely come into questioning, and they may lose their prestige. And since the military is already now used to power, we'll be end up to seeing another bomber into West Africa, I mean into Africa, into East Africa, where you have the military dictating the affairs of the state, and they have special powers reserved for them, and certain seats or ministerial positions are definitely meant for the military. And Sudan, since the like of Somalia, you think Uganda, you look at Ethiopia, you watch at Sudan, South Sudan, all of this country, even down in Botswana, Mozambique, all of these things, we are having a series of political crises over there. So it's surrounding into the south. It's not peaceful, and most of the countries into the Horn of Africa definitely not peaceful. Look at DRC, you watch at DR Congo, all of these things are creating problems, and it's like almost the Horn of Africa is at the detriment of going into war against itself, and most of them have been accused of maybe supporting rebels into one or two countries. This is where you are seeing there is no peace between DRC Congo and Rwanda, and even between DRC Congo and Uganda. Now, if the Sudan is being thrown into another chaotic situation, I think this one is definitely working in the interest of Omar al-Bashir, who do not want a sustainable civilian government into the country that may lead him to be prosecuted. So this evening, I decided to come out with this breaking news to you for you to understand and know the current development on the continent, because it's a very worse situation and we are all observing it, and the manner in which the Sudanese government is going through a devastation period. They end up to create a chaotic situation, and it is the civilians that are definitely going to suffer. Especially females are going to be raped, and we are going to see extrajudicial killing taking place, and the military definitely use this power vacuum to ensure that they construct themselves into power. And as long as there is a total division within the military, do not expect a civilian to come into power, because in life we have the 3 Gs: God, government, and man. God, gun, and man. Unfortunately, the gun and the government is with these guys, and they think and feel that they can do anything. There's a total division into the military. This was what happened into the Sudan for quite a long time, and it is still continuing to happen. It's the same thing that is happening into places like Burkina Faso, and it's the same thing that's happening into Mali. I think the only sustainable one in terms of trying to hold on to a big strong peace is Guinea. After this guy took over, Mamadi Doumbouya, we have not seen him having any confrontation with another subsection into the military. Although rumors are there going around, but he has managed to sustain it, maybe with through certain negotiation. But in the Sudan, things like that are not happening. We are seeing military coup into a military coup. Then we are also seeing even it with neighbor in the south. Salva Kiir and Riek Machar are not at peace. Of late, Riek Machar Salva Kiir sacked the head of the military. That is the wife of General Riek Machar, and that resulted into serious confrontation. There is negotiation ongoing, and yesterday, yesterday they suspended, or they decided to do away a law which gave them the power to arrest anybody within the country without any warrant for arrest, because it was like dealing on a state of emergency. So you watch the entire Horn of Africa, I don't think whether there is any peace going on into the country. I think Africa need to be very careful and watching at a very close situation where elections are about to take place. We will not see better things happening on the continent with development like this. I think it is high time AU, UN, and other world bodies to swiftly intervene into the Sudanese situation, or else women are going to be at the detriment. When it comes to think of it, Sudan has the world's largest lunatic people, crazy people, because since how long war has actually been going over there, when you watch how raping is taking place, the country is being devastated. We all eat oil well that is happening. Still, people are struggling to even have their basic food. That is bread. It's a kind of chaotic situation. And with these prevailing circumstances, nothing will definitely take place. And the military could definitely use this to forget about the slated time for a civilian government to take place. The transition to civilian government will take place, and chaotic situation will be placed in place. We are afraid, but the Sudanese government may end up being like the current government we are seeing into places like Somalia, where you have a central government backed by UN that is being in Mogadishu. You have other subsections that are actually supporting other factions of the country. It's the same thing that is happening today into Libya. I think the Arab world is becoming so chaotic, and it's becoming so unpredictable, and the situation over there is so volatile. Pandemonium is it is order of the day. We have seen on numerous occasions how people have been attacked in places like Mogadishu, when they can easily be attacking to hotel and kill. So I think Sudan, we have to be very, very careful on what is going on. Just to read the 2021 coup ended a period of more than 2 years when a military and civilian leaders were sharing power. That deal came after Sudanese long-term authoritarian president Omar al-Bashir was overthrown. But that was in 2021. And since 2022 towards the 2023, we have been having an authoritarian, a dictator under Abdel Fattah leading. And disgruntled military within the army now are taking over advantage to confront him. And also there is confrontation, there is bombing, people are being killed. Khartoum is in a chaotic situation. Do not expect anything better to come out. So we are afraid, but Africans need to be absolutely careful to see how they can handle this situation to prevent a further escalation. Thank you. It's been me, Edward Amara, focused on Liberia, West African correspondent, coming to you with this latest development of the continent.